this afternoon or this evening. It's 7 o'clock over here, but it looks like it's 2 p.m. in the afternoon. Very hot. Okay, so before we start today's own, I want us to go through the assignment that we did. I had majority of you sending the assignment, and those of you who haven't been able to send yours, don't feel bad. I understand, right? But the most important thing is try to follow with me, right? What we are doing is just one aspect of the framework. So we'll do other framework. Sometimes some people don't get the FISMA. Sometimes people don't. So it's all the different frameworks. But if you try to follow and get the concept, that is the most important thing. And like I said, trying to get the deliverables, that is really, really important. And in this class, I'm having a huge class because I have some of my old students reaching out to me to be part of it. So I'm happy to have you there to join me. And I don't know whether I said this Wednesday. Hey, look, like on Saturday, I have two of my students getting offers last week. So the offers are coming in. Those people were very consistent. So they just got the job so quick. We finished the class in April, ending of April, and now they've gotten the offer. So it tells me that as you put in the effort, you can get a job quickly. Good. So let's look at let me share my screen here. So this is, I'm going to share one of you's work. And like I said, majority of you were able to submit and you did well. I see that everybody, those who submitted, just few of them that they missed out one or two things, but they got corrected, and which is good. Good. So we all worked together in class from CP1 to CP28. So the assignment was for you to try your hands on CP3 up to CP73, right? So the publication that we use was that we use for this supposed to be NIST 800-53 Rev 5. But I think some people were confused. So they were referring to the old publication. So later somebody drew my attention and I put it in a WhatsApp chat. So it's NIST 853 Rev 5. That is the publication that we use. And when you open that publication, go to the local. Just open the local and you will get this document. Let me make it a little bit bigger. So you get this document, and the assignment was on contingency plan, right? And like I said, in a real world environment, you will do all the controls. This is not just only contingency plan. You will start with access control right down to supply chain. These are the control family, access control, right out to supply chain risk management. So we were doing only contingency planning. So when you click on it, it takes you straight to contingency plan. But in class, we did CP1 up to CP28. This is CP2, then 8. So the assignment was to start from CP3, then up to, I forgot to 7 something. So here I noticed some people were also having a problem with this. So here you can see there's a break. So when you copy, you have to do it in batches. This up to first copy, right? That is a control procedure. CP3, where is the CP3? So CP3, so you copy that one, you paste it here, right? Then you go and copy the remainder, that is from 3 to be over here. Then you add it to the control procedure document. So you get something like this, right? And like you said, there need to be a response. There need to be a contact person, POC, point of contact. Then they also need to have a documentation, right? That serves as an evidence that yes, indeed, we are following this procedure to meet contingency planning, contingency training, right? So you have to do the same for all these controls, right? And after when you are done, I think some people got confused. Somebody was able to, somebody did everything, the test plan and everything still on the first page. You just put everything below. No, they are different documents. So always make sure that you follow instructions and do them separately. So when you are done, you copy everything, right? You copy everything, right? Control C, you copy, then you come and paste it here. You paste it here, right? And here, because it's evaluation, right? Test plan and evaluation, you need to evaluate. So that is where we use pass, fail, not applicable, or inherited. So here we were using pass and fail. And we said that we deliberately fail some of them, right? We haven't done any extensive because we are not having the actual document for us to review. So we just deliberately fail. What I wanted you to do is to understand the process, right? So here we can see that he had this one pass, 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 failed, pass, 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 pass. So he had 3 of them pass. And the next step is SAR. So the SAR is you carry only the failed controls. One observation that I made was that some people took all the controls to the SAR. No. Remember, the SAR does not contain past controls that are okay. If everything is okay, you don't add them to the SAR, right? The SAR must contain those that failed, controls that need to be worked on, right? So, and here you're going to make a recommendation on why you feel they failed. What caused them to fail? What was the reason, right? So what do they need to do to be able to meet this procedure requirement? So that is what you put here in the recommendation, and that's it. That is all. That is all. Today I was trying to get one of my old students who is doing this job to come and share her experience, but I don't know, she's shy. She says she's shy too. I'm so surprised, but anyway, I'm still talking to her along the way. I'll try and bring her, right, to come and talk to you. You see that it's very easy, very, very easy in a federal environment, right? Good. So that is what I was expecting us to do. And like majority of us were able to do that. So that is really good, right? And I know we are also getting the concept, right? But the more you practice, the more it gives you the confidence to be able to speak to it when you get an interview. Good. Any questions on the assignment?
I do have a question.
Oh, sorry.
Okay, Ruth.
So my question
Yeah.
was on the policy and procedures, right? As we copy them from 800, NIST 853, are we just copying and pasting, or you kind of customize to the organization's needs? Is it
You
like
mean
just
about the evidence documents?
right? Because I think when we go to any control, you have the control in the policy and procedures, I want to think, and then the rating. Am I mixing up things?
I'm coming. I'm just pulling the contingency plan document.
Okay.
Are you talking about, let's say here,
Yeah, from
CP1
A to,
contingency?
yes. So
Very
from
good.
A to C, I think that's the procedure, right?
Yep.
Is it complete as it is, or there are some things that may be customized according to the company?
No, this is a standard. You see, if you remember, we said it's a baseline.
Oh, okay.
Okay, it's a baseline. That's a standard. What NIST, per their research, right? This is what needs to be done, or that if you have these information within the policy, right, that is good enough.
Okay, so for
Okay.
example, 1A says addresses purpose, scope, roles, responsibilities, management, commitment. So what I'm thinking is you copy and paste, but there's going to be more information that you need to put in under the purpose and the scope and the roles
So,
and responsibilities.
exactly. So you are not the one writing the policy.
Oh, okay.
Okay. So the policy statement or document should be able to have a statement that talks about, okay, this is the purpose of the policy. This is the scope. This is the role. These are the responsibilities, right? If you take a look at most of the, okay, let's do a quick sample. Let's check a quick sample of contingency plan policy. All these are online, okay? Don't worry. If they ask you to write contingency plan policy sample. If you're working and they ask you to develop come out with a policy. Okay, let's use the first one. The first one looks like a government site, so you can see that it covers most of the requirement. It's even a Word document, so it's pulling up. Let me share my screen. The Word document when it finish open. Yeah, so most of you get a job and you'll be asked to develop policy. I will help you on that. It's very, very easy, and I'll guide you to do that. Sorry. It's a Word document. Let me pull it up here. Is it being shared? I don't think so. Okay, so let me share content. Okay. Very good. So this is a sample contingency information technology contingency plan. This is the plan itself, right? So this is a sample. So you can see it's a template-based organization, and that's what they use. So it has, can you see, it has purpose, the background, applicability, the scope. Can you see that?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Exactly. So that is what, so NIST was saying that your whatever contingency plan policy that they have, the company has, right? It must address purpose, scope, roles, responsibilities, management commitment. So if you look at this policy into details, you see that almost everything that is stated over there, right, is in here. It's in the document, right? So purpose, some background, applicability, scope, assumptions, some whatever it is, right? So this is a sample of the policy. So that is what they are saying, that if you're having a contingency plan policy, it must cover this area. Are you okay?
Yes, I am.
Okay.
So when we say baseline, it's just a baseline guideline on what you need to include.
Exactly.
Okay, got it.
A
Got it.
baseline. So some organizations may even go beyond this one. They may go beyond that. But this says at least if you don't have it at all, make sure you cover these areas. Right. Good. So that is why after every work that you do, the system owner will come and review. They'll review and make sure that, okay, this is to the organization standard, or we need to add more to it or take something out of it. Good. Okay, so Nana, I saw your hand up.
Hey, Alex.
Yes, sir.
Charles, oh no, who was that? Just a minute. I saw Nana's hand. Nana, you have the floor.
Yes, sir.
Wait, just a minute. Yeah.
I wanted to ask if you have an NA, like not applicable, what do you do next?
My question. Thank you.
Okay, good one. So that one means that if it's not applicable, it means that it's maybe not applicable to that particular system. So in this case, it doesn't go to the SAR, right? So it just ends at the SCNE, right? Or that you say that, okay, accessibility. But they said, okay, accessibility is not applicable to this system. This system doesn't need anything about accessibility. But NIST is recommending that if it's a moderate, add accessibility to it. But meanwhile, this system has nothing to do with accessibility. So what do? It ends over here. It ends at the STNE, and you shouldn't add it to the SAR. Is it okay?
Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Good. I've killed one bird with two stones. Or is it one stone with two birds? Thank you, Nana and Willa. Good. So let's come to today's work, today's training, right? I'll try as much as possible to go through quickly. And where we end, I want us to take a look, Google ourselves and see some of the job areas in this area that we've covered. And today we'll end how security assessment is performed by the federal environment. So at the end of each of the modules, we try to look for jobs, look at the job descriptions and check and find ourselves, like finding out whether we covered those areas. And are those job descriptions familiar with us? Something like that. You may not be so much confident today, but trust me, it takes a little bit of time. As you master, you go through, you master it, you become confident to speak to it. I mean, it depends on everybody. Some people they got it already. Some of you, if they should do interview today. Trust me, you get a job. Okay, so today we are doing the phase 5. We'll do the phase 5 and 6, and it's authorized information system. So that is the authorized information system, phase 5. Okay, so here we have plan of action and milestone. It is called POEM, popularly known as POEM. So identifies vulnerability, resources, impact, recommendation, and time needed to resolve identified vulnerabilities during the assessment phase. So here, the plan of action, I'm sharing this, right? So for plan of action, that's popularly known as POEM. And I have students that they are working only on POEM. So in some federal environment, they get plenty findings, and there is a dedicated person. All that they are doing is following up on POEM, right? So the SAR that we did over here, right? These were the findings. They haven't been able to provide evidence. So we put them in the SAR, the security assessment report. So now the system, we need to put the documentation together and go and for the to attain the ATO, authority to operate, for the system to be given the go ahead, the green light to use. So they don't wait on all these things to be resolved. Sometimes it takes a little bit of time. Sometimes it has to be with budget. Sometimes it has to do with the personnel. They don't have the people to do it. So what they do is that the next step, what you have to do is to create a poem, plan of action, and milestone. So that is a control name, the control ID, the control itself, the findings, what you identified, right? So here, let's copy what we the control ID. Here, we don't copy the control procedure, no. Right, for poem, we don't copy the procedure, it's just the ID and the control name, right? You put it there. What was the finding? So the findings, we can get it from this side, right? Why we noticed that they failed, right? Even easy, go back to the recommendation. You know, it is a recommendation that you gave based on what you found, right? So here the finding, we can say that secondary backup site is too close to the primary site, right? So that is finding. So here maybe the recommendation should have been, it should be far from the primary site. So this can be the finding, right? When we identify, when we did the testing, we noticed that the finding itself is this. We notice that the backup site, right? There's a primary site and the backup site. We notice that it is too close. I was talking about Twin Towers, right? So one companies were having their primary site in one of the towers and the backup in the other tower. And when the 9/11 happened, right, they lost, they lose everything, right? Or they lost everything. So that is a finding, right? And I think he had the same thing as a finding, accessibility, right? And the point of contact is the same person. So the size is very, very easy to generate, right? The name of this person, whoever is in charge, you put their names over here. Good. So it could be the same person, the name will be there. Then timeline. Sometimes there are people who are giving, the control owner. Most of the times, these people who are supposed to resolve the finding, we call them control owner, right? The control owners are given some timeline to fix it. Most of the time, they say, okay, today's date is 28. But maybe the system we need to submit the system in like August 30th for the ATO. So you can give them up to August 20, right? 2023, right? So here we are giving them some time. The system owner will give them, you work with system owner, then they will be able to fix the time. It could be here to the same date, or maybe this may be earlier, right? August 18, my birthday, 2023, right? Good. So it could be earlier, right? So it depends. So the system owner will be able to give an appropriate date that, look, I'll need this one fixed by this particular period. Sometimes it is in months. Say, okay, you have 6 months to fix it, 3 months to do it, 1 week to fix it, right? Depending on the company's policy or the type of application or system they are working on. So when this is done, right, the poem is sent to the person, the point of contact. Sometimes you send those findings, specific findings, to them through an email, or you call them. But most of the time, per my experience, I prefer sending them an email than doing a follow-up with call, because some people are very, very quick to deny when they see that they are in trouble, right? So always send them an email, you get an evidence, then you do a follow-up call, right? Maybe you send them an email 3 days later, you don't hear anything, do a follow-up call, right? So when you do a follow-up call and whatever comment that they give you, you have to put it here to track what they have said, what they said, right? Sometimes they said it's subject to budget, means that there's no funding to fix this particular one, right? Sometimes they said lack of personnel, right? So whatever response that you get from them, put it there. That is it for poem. That is it for poem. So when you see federal job and they said the person will be in charge of poem, run for it. Run for it. It's very, very easy, right? Just that it's going to be probably a lot of findings. But each of the findings, you need to look for the control owner or the owner, the point of contact, right? You work with the system owner to identify the timeline that those findings need to be fixed. Then you start working on them, right? And the reason being, the reason for the poem, another thing is that if you don't make your findings or the poem visible, there are some findings that you wouldn't know that is a problem on your environment or a problem with a system. So the findings makes it more visible, right? And it is very, very easy. And that is it for the poem, right? Good. So let's continue. So poem are usually drafted by the security analyst with the support from system owner, right? The system owner will help you to know the timeline, the right contact. Sometimes it could be that they have performed vulnerability scanning. Those findings, the system owner will guide you. Okay, this finding belongs to Kingsley. Work with Kingsley, right? Tell him that we need this by 2 weeks' time. Work with Mercy. Tell her we need this by 3 months' time, right? We need a result. So that is how it is. Good. So it said, oh, sorry. Before a poem artifact is created, the system owner usually reviews a draft of the SAR in order to accept findings or provide additional evidence in context of failed controls, right? So most of the time before the poem is drafted, the system owner is going to go through the SAR, right? It's, oh, okay, yeah, this is a legitimate finding. This is okay. I think accessibility is not really applicable to this application. Let's remove it, right? They are just going to do some kind of audit, right? Because one, the system owner knows the system very well, more than you, right? So they will be able to audit it, and you come out with one that is good to be used for the poem, right? So wherever you got to, assignment 3 is going to be, you need to create your poem, right? The findings that you identify and the ones that you make recommendations for the SAR, move them forward to create a poem. Fair enough? Hello?
Yeah.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Thank you.
Oh, of course.
Good, good. So that one is just like 5 minutes work. You can just do it quick. Good. So let's continue. So we have full security assessment and authorization or certification and authorization package, right? So at the end of everything, you've gone through categorization, you generate your 6 deliverables, that is FIPS 199, PTA, PIA, SON, e-authentication, and what else? Good. So that is, yeah, that initial risk assessment is part of it, but initial risk assessment is being replaced by SAR when you are putting the authorization package together, right? The SAR replaces the initial risk assessment. So the authorization package is going to be the FIPS 199, that is the categorization, the PTA, the PIA document, the SON, e-authentication, control baseline, right? The selection that you did the first time, right? The final one that after they've done the tailoring, the final one. Then we have the system security plan, the SSP, configuration management plan, contingency plan, the contingency plan test plan, STNE, the SAR, and the POEM. So these are individual packages, right? You put it together, right? Depending on how it goes. Some of them can have about, it depends, right? Some of them can have about 10 pages, 6 pages, right? SSP can have about 60 pages, depending on how it is done, right? That's a system security plan. So you put all these deliverables together, then they submit to authorized official, right? To determine the risk, either to accept the risk or avoid the risk, right? So after reviewing the security authorization package, the authorizing official or designated representatives makes a decision whether to, one, issue ATO, authority to operate, right? So those documents, individual documents that they put everything together, the authorized officials have people that they are working with. That is the beauty of understanding this process into details, right? I have a lady that works with authorized official. So when the request comes, right, and remember, authorized officials are the CIOs, the CISOs, they are big shots, right? So people working under them. So when an organization or a department submits their package that we want you to accept the risk and allow us to use this application on the federal environment, the authorized officials staff are going to go through each of the documents. Categorization, they will look at how you categorize the information type, how you arrived at the highest watermark, how the controls were selected, how the PI, the PTA was done, how the PIA was done, the SON number, how it was published. They will check everything into details. And if everything is on point, then the authorized official will say that, okay, we noticed that you went through the approved and the recommended processes by NIST. So we know based on the controls that you have put in place, this application is secured. Then they will give you authority to operate, that is ATO. So AO accepts all the risks associated with the system. Sometimes the POEM are so many that the AO said no. Even though you've done majority of the work, but these findings, I want you to fix them. But they also want to use the application. It has to be used, right? Sometimes it's time sensitive. Then the AO will say that, okay, I'm going to give you conditional authority to operate, right? Depending on the system owner or works, they resolve all the POEM, the findings, right? For a specific time period. Most of the time, the interim or conditional authority to operate or interim authority to operate is 6 months. So, okay, I'll allow you to start using it. I'm accepting the risk for 6 months, but make sure you resolve all those findings, right? the poem that you have identified. Like I said, sometimes it should be a lot, right? Make sure you resolve all those findings before I can give you the full authority to operate. And the third one is when the authorized official staff go through the documentations and they notice that you haven't done a good job. There are omissions, the categorization wasn't done right. I mean, remember, if you get the categorization wrong, everything is going to be wrong, right? So if it wasn't done right, the other things, there are so many issues with it, they will deny it. Said, no, you didn't do a good job. Go back and start again from categorization, right? So the authority to operate letter specify the time period within which the system is authorized to operate, and also specify the expiration date. The letter is signed by both system owner and the authorized official. Like I said, authorized officials are the big shots, the CIO, the vice president, the CISOs, or the presidents themselves. Those are the authorized officials. So if an application or a system attains ATO, it is usually valid for a period of 3 years, right? It's valid for a period of 3 years. So if you take the zip folder that I attached, there's a sample ATO, how it looks like, but it depends on the federal agency. They may choose to change it or whatever it is, but that is how a sample look like, right? And when a system attains a full ATO, it is a huge celebration. They do celebrate, right? They do celebrate a lot. That day, they sometimes throw a party or they organize a lunch for all the people that are involved. It's a huge party, right? Good. So that is the ATO for you. So there's a quick summary over here. There is poem, and basically the poem has all the vulnerabilities or the weaknesses or the findings identified. There's a time period for it to be resolved, right? And also must be somebody assigned to that finding to be and make sure that person resolve that. Then the ATOs, they are in 3 levels. Full ATO, that is authority to operate, right? Or interim or conditional ATO, then denial, right? So, and this is also the authorization package. They can ask you, so what constitutes the authorization package to be submitted to an AO official for ATO, right? That is FIPS 199, PTA, PIAE authentication, SON, security control baseline, SSP, CMP, CP, CP test plan, SCNE, SAR, and POEM. These are the authorization package, right? So that is it for the phase 5. Any questions? Yeah, Fenton.
Question.
Yeah, Fenton hand is hand. It's Ruth, hold on.
Yes. Okay.
Somebody's hand is up already.
Okay, a question. My question is, if when they give authorization to operate, and then at some point in time they put the company in corrective action, what makes them put the company in corrective action? You have any idea?
Very good. So it means that they were not given the full ATO, right? They were given interim. So if there's an interim, so it means that there are some findings, the poem, that is the corrective actions that they need to do.
Right.
That they are still working on those poems.
Okay.
right? Yeah.
All right. Thank you.
You're welcome. Sometimes, like, I mean, some applications, you work in the federal environment, so we have ATO. They won't tell you whether it's interim or the full ATO, right? So
Okay.
sometimes you
Yeah.
get confused. Why do you have full ATO, but we still have to work on these corrective actions or the poem, right?
Mhm.
So it could be that it was an interim or a partial ATO, and they have to work on those corrective actions or the poem.
Okay.
Great.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Ruth.
Yes, so the question I have is from a responsibility or a job title perspective. Who collects these documents that are sent to the AO?
Is a system owner, but you as an analyst will put them together.
Oh, okay.
Right. It's a
And
system
when we
owner
say
that
put
will
them
send
together,
them
you
to
are
you.
the one who's completing the SAR, you're completing the poem. And are you at this point talking to people who are giving you information to fill these documents?
I think we talked about the various deliverables and the roles that we play, right?
Right.
It's not every deliverable that you are involved. Yours is that, let's say PTA. It is handled by the privacy department. So yours, as an analyst who knows that, okay, this system must have a PTA, you reach out to the legal department or the privacy department. Hey, I need a PTA for this system, and they will provide you. Sometimes they will know, you not even wait for it. They know it. Everybody knows what they are doing. So, and the system owner has been communicating with them that, hey, PTA is due by this date. Contingency plan is due by this date. Contingency test plan. So those who are in charge, right, knows the date. So probably what you'll be doing is just coordinating, following up. Okay, is it ready? They tell you, yes, it's ready. Here is it. Or you can locate it here. You collect, you create a folder, you put them in, right? That's it. Okay, is it okay?
Thank you. Yeah, thank you.
Good. So let's move on to the last phase of the risk management framework, and that is continuous monitoring. Continuous monitoring. And the question is, why should we continuously monitor a system? Why should we? If the system attains a full ATO, why should we worry ourselves to continuously monitor it? Yes, can somebody try?
I'll try.
Okay.
So we do continuous monitoring to make sure that the controls that were put in place are continuously providing the security that we need for the system and bringing out the desired results. So we know technology is also continuously changing. Things are changing, new threats are coming into play, and we have to review those controls to make sure that everything is kind of up to date with the new technology threats and vulnerabilities that we may be experiencing.
Ruth, you got it. If I'm a professor, I'll just say I'm giving you 100%. That's it.
If we're a hiring manager, give me a job.
Yep.
Okay.
I mean, if a hiring manager, you tell hiring manager this answer, they'll be very happy. They say, no, this lady knows what she's talking, right? And we said it earlier, threat and vulnerability keeps changing. Like she said, new technologies are coming, right? So probably the control that you put there yesterday doesn't mean that tomorrow the same control is going to be okay. You need to check and monitor it and make sure that those controls are working. Sheldon, your hand is up.
Can I talk?
Yeah. So basically,
Sheldon is online. Vincent, hold on.
Basically, Roof, like you said, Roof said everything there is. I just want to ask, in that case, is that where you use the term that this is a live document because it's constantly updating?
Oh, okay. I understand. Yes, you can choose to say that. But when you say a live document, most of the times we refer that to contingency plan.
Just a contingency.
Right.
Okay.
Disaster recovery incident response document. We call it, there's a name that we call it a living document, right? It has to be
Living document.
updated
There you
all
go.
the
That's what you said. That's what you said. Living document.
Yeah, good.
Or it may be a living system, right? Because it
A
needs
living
continuous.
system, that's right.
It
Okay.
needs
That the
continuous
controls are
monitoring.
working.
Yeah.
Good, good. I like that. Yeah, Vincent, your hand is up.
Yeah, I want to add that we must keep monitoring because the system might develop some fault that needs to be patched. That the patch procedure need to take place.
Good. Yes, you are correct. You're correct. So vulnerabilities keeps changing. So the system, maybe the firmware, right, is outdated. They need to update it, right? They provide new one and it has to be changed. It has to be updated. It has to be patched. Good point. And if everything that you guys have said is correct, and we are even going to see them here. So under the continuous monitoring phase, these steps are being performed. Some of them, the analyst is in charge. Some of them, we have no control over that. The system owner and the ISSO, they do that. But it's good we know what goes into this phase. So I'll run through them quickly. So the first one is information system environment changes. We talked about that right now. Ongoing security control assessment, key updates, ongoing remediation actions, security status reporting, ongoing risk determination and acceptance, information system removal and decommissioning. So let's take them one by one and look at what we do here. So information system environment changes. So any change to the system must follow a change control process. Last time we talked about change control process, right? So if there's a change, Vincent just talked about patching, right? A system has released has a new release. You don't, because you're an administrator, you just get up and start applying patches. No, that is wrong, right? It has to go through change control board, right? You apply for change control board, you go there and explain why you want to make that changes. They approve it. You send notification to the users that, hey, at this particular time between 11 p.m. and 5 a.m., the system is not going to be available, right? So when the time is up, you move the system away from the production environment. That the production environment is where people are able to use it day to day to do their job. So you migrate the system from production environment, you take it to a test environment, you apply the patches, you test it, you evaluate it, and all the people involved sign it off. So everything is good. Then before you roll it into the production environment, so the next day people are able to use it without any problem. And they also must have a rollback plan such that if there's a problem, they can go back to the original state, right? I think Fenton talked about some people apply patches at the production environment and it caused great problem, right? And people's head rolled, right? So change control handles that, right? And because systems are changing, vulnerabilities are keeps appearing all the time. System inventory component needs to be current, accurate, and updated regularly. It's very, very important, right? So we need to update the system component, develop a configuration management plan and procedure. It's also very, very important. Yes, Nana.
A quick question for you.
Yeah.
If the system is, how should I say, the threat is very severe, that you cannot waste time, like wait for a couple of months, and you have to go to the change board. How long does it take? Is there like a limited time to address this immediately?
The change board mostly meets every week. All the change control change board, they meet every week. And if there is an emergency, right? Sometimes they do exception, right? Okay, there's this new vulnerability and Log4j is just spreading like Wi-Fi. Hackers are taking advantage, right? The change control can do a quick emergency, right? Meeting, or they can just approve it. Say, hey, go ahead. If you have that system, go ahead, move it to get the vendor supply patches, move the system from the production to test environment, apply it, test it, and everything before you roll it. So there is an exception to that if there is an urgent thing that they need to fix. But most companies change control boards, board meeting. I mean, they meet every week.
All right, thank you.
They don't wait for long. Okay, good. Implement an asset management tool. So Dell asset management tool, right? So asset management tool basically help to track all the tools, right? It helps you to track the tools within the environment. So this step is handled by system owner and the ISSO, right? That is the work of the system owner, just to make sure that information system environment changes go through appropriate steps and authorization, and it is always getting, patches are being implemented, controls are being in place just to keep the system secure all the time. That is their work. And you may never know, they may ask you to help here too as well. Ongoing security control assessment. Yes, you play a major role here. So test 1/3 of the NIST recommended control on annual basis. Yes, Vincent. Vincent, your hand is up. Vincent.
Alex, please, what is SAM? What's the meaning of SAM?
SAM is example, like they have it's part of the how they call it, asset manager, right? So there are so many asset management tools out there, but SAM is one of them.
Okay. So yeah. what's the full meaning? The S there is what?
Oh, okay. I'll look for it and share with you.
All right. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you. Good. Let's continue. So 1/3 of the NIST recommended controls must be tested every year, right? So let's say when you did a control selection for the mod system that we categorize in the class or your assignment, and you had about 150 questionnaire controls, right? Remember, we do from access control to the last control, SR, right? And let's say you ended up having like 150 controls. So as part of continuous monitoring, you have to test 50 of those controls every year. You have to test them. So that you must go through the test plan again, 50 of them, right? And there is a formula that they use to select those 50, right? It's not like maybe all contingency plan. No, they just pick some questions, and the system owners, they do that. They randomly pick some questions, then test them to see whether those controls are effective. Because sometimes the controls are so many, you can't test everything. So they just do a randomization and pick about 1/3 of them and test it. Then also, last time we talked about SANS, and I said we'll talk about it. So this is the time. I hope I'm sharing my screen. Can you see my screen? Okay, this is what I'm sharing. Good. So there is SANS. SANS, we call them, it is a well-recognized organization, right? So every year they do a lot of research and they study the threat environment. And they say that like they come out with controls, that some top controls that they request organizations to be on the lookout every year, or it's I think periodically they do a research and they're able to, and it is well accepted. So they have this top 20, we call it SANS top 20 controls. So let me see. It's not clear if I can get a bigger one, or I can download. Where can I download this so that I can make it bigger? See our new. Okay, let's see if I can get this. Good. So, top 20. Now it took me to somewhere, trying to see if I can get it. So this top 20 controls is here, but it is not really clear over here. Let me see if I can make it bigger. Okay. Can you see it, even though it's somehow smaller, right? So these are they have version 7, that is old, and version 8, that is the current one. So these are top 20 controls that they recommend that, hey, if you are practicing cybersecurity or information security in your environment, consider these controls. The first one is inventory and control of enterprise assets, right? That is the first thing, inventory and control of software assets. Some companies, you'll be surprised that they are using so many software, but they don't know the type of software and the number of software they are using, right? So SANS says always keep inventory, data protection, secure configuration of enterprise assets, account management, access control management, continuous vulnerability management. Number 8, audit log management, email and web browsers, malware defenses, data recovery, network infrastructure, network monitoring, security awareness and skills training, service provider management, that is a vendor risk management, application software security, incident response, penetration testing. Here they gave 18, right? So if you are doing the ongoing monitoring, consider these 18 or this popularly known as top 20 controls. Have those one as part of the controls that you are going to monitor, right, on the lookout for, just to make sure that these controls, because they have done the research, and based on the threat environment, they are able to tell you that these are the areas you need to look out for so that, right, you will be secured, right? Good. So then the next one, scan system for weakness frequently, at least monthly or whenever there is a major change to a system. This is very, very important. System vulnerability scanning. So if it is an application that you are in charge of, right, every month you put in a request for your system or that application to be scanned. Take note of that. Every month you request a vulnerability scan for your system. Yes, Ruth. Ruth, your hand is up.
Yes. So you shared those 20 controls according to the what was it? Version 8. Is that an expansion to the basic controls from NIST 53A?
No, this is a research made by a different organization called SANS.
Oh, okay.
Right. They have done their research and they do a lot of research. They have courses. It's a well-recognized organization. They even have certifications. It's very expensive. One of their certification can cost like $20,000, right? So yeah, they are very, very expensive. So it's a well-recognized organization. They give even a lot of templates. If you want to do policies, they have policy template. I'll share all those, their links with you. So based on the extensive research, they are well recognized and people like have accepted them that, okay, if they are saying this, then it's something that I must pay attention to, right? Something like that. So they are this, apart from the controls, let's say the 1/3 that you select, also take a look at the SANS controls so that you don't miss anything out. That is all that is saying. Good. Yes, I was talking about vulnerability scanning. So there's a different team that perform the vulnerability scanning. So you request for a vulnerability scan of your application every month. And sometimes those people performing the scan, they do have a lot of requests. So don't wait till the month ends, right? As soon as like maybe 5 days to the end of the month, you put in your request and they will schedule you and do the scan for you. And when they do the scan and there are some findings, you go back to your poem, you put them in there. Maybe when they did the scan, there was this, maybe one of the controls shows that maybe the website, the web facings, blah, blah, maybe something has to do with the authentication, right? It's not properly being authenticated. You put it in there, you discuss with the system owner, right? And the system owner will give you somebody who is in charge of that, right? Then the system owner says, hey, this is serious, so they need to fix it within 1 week. Then you work with the person, you connect with the person, this is the finding, has the authentication has a problem. Can you fix it within 1 week? They will fix it, or whatever response they give you, you put it over there. That's it. Then you keep on building, and when it is resolved, you don't need to keep it in the poem, right? So when it is resolved, you delete it from the poem. The poem is to help you keep track of all the findings within the environment. So that is, and also the scanning is done not only for the whole system, but sometimes the system undergoes major changes, like configuration. Maybe they reconfigure the system, they reconfigure some, some things. So whenever such a thing is done, you need to request for a scan, right? You need to request for a scan. So take notice of it. These are the little things that will make whoever you're working with know that you know your stuff, right? You don't even wait for them to ask, oh, have you requested for vulnerability scan? Or they did a major changes on the system. You heard them talking about it and you just quiet sitting down. No, whenever you hear, oh, this system underwent a major configuration management, then quickly you put in a request. I need a request. I need you to perform security scan, right? Vulnerability scan on the system, because there has been a major changes to a system. And they will appreciate that what you do. Implement automated tools such as vulnerability management tool. That is the same part of the vulnerability. There's a tool called Tenable Security. Then there's also a patch management tool. IBM have them, and most of the time you don't do that, right? You work with the people. It's more like a technical side of this work. You work with people, you request, the system owner will direct you to the right people that you can request all these scans. So this step is handled by the system owner, the ISSO, then you, the security analyst. Ongoing remediation action. Conduct remediation action based on the result of ongoing monitoring activities, assessment of risk, outstanding items in the plan of action and milestone, right? Like I just said, right? You put in the request for vulnerability scanning, it comes out that there are some findings, critical findings. You put them in the poem and you ask the right people to remediate them. And this step is also handled by the system owner, ISSO, and you, the analyst. Then we have key updates. Key updates. Update the following documentation on a regular basis in line with the ongoing security assessment results, right? Anytime you do an assessment and there are changes, you need to make sure you update the SSP, update the system security assessment report, and also the poem, right? Like I said, the findings, you have to update it. Some of them, they have been resolved. You have to remove it, right? So all these updates you need to do that. And it is handled by the system owner, ISSO, and you, the analyst. Then the next point is security status reporting. Report the security status of the information system to the authorizing official on an ongoing basis in accordance with the monitoring strategy by submitting the following. So if you get the ATO, that doesn't mean that, hooray, everything is resolved. You don't need to do anything. No. Even though there is an ATO, authority to operate, every year you have to submit the SSP, you have to submit the SAR, you have to submit the POEM to the authorized official for them to review, right? So it is also, this side is handled by the system owner and the ISSO, right? So they are going to submit it to the authorized official that, look, the system that you gave us, the old ATO, we still maintaining the integrity, we still maintaining that everything is working accordingly. Look at, this is our SSP, this is our SAR, these are the POEM that we are working on. So it has to go to the ATO. Then ongoing risk determination. So they are going to look at the SAR, the SSP, I mean the AO, authorized official. They are going to review those documents, the SAR, the POEM, and the SSP, right? And sorry, SSP of the information system on an ongoing basis. Like I said, every year you have to go to them, and you do. So if you have the certification for 3 years, starting today, every year, like we are in 2023, so 2024 you submit, 2025 you submit, 2026 you submit. Then after 2026, they will recertify the system again. That, okay, based on all that we have analyzed, you are following everything. So we are giving the system another 3 years full ATO. So that is how it goes. But so when the 3 years start again, every year you need to submit SSP, the POEM, the SAR, every year. So it just goes on until the last part, that is the information system removal and decommissioning. But before that, the authorized official determines whether the current risk is acceptable and forwards appropriate direction to the information system owner. So when you submit all those documents within every year, they are going to review again. If everything is okay, then they will issue the annual assessment letter showing that the system went through the annual NIST security control assessment, right? Why are they doing all this? There is also an auditing team. There is an auditing team that they go around all the federal environment and audit a system to see that they have all these controls or these processes are being followed. So you need an annual assessment letter and from the AO to have it on file. So new directive, ongoing authorization events, time-driven, more frequent, more dynamic, and it's not static, right? And this, let's say, like, for instance, it used to be NIST 853 Rev 4, and now it's Rev 5. So that's a new directive. And the Rev 5 became effective, I think, September 23rd, 2022. Right, there was a law that if you are still using Rev 4, by 2022 September, you should be able to migrate to the Rev 5. So there's a new directive. They keep coming, they keep changing the publication, they keep changing the law. So you have to be abreast with it and as part of the continuous monitoring. The last part is information system removal and decommissioning. Right. Implement an information system decommissioning strategy, that's policy and procedure for decommissioning systems, and required actions when the system is when a system is removed from service, right? So you don't just get up and say, this system, we don't need it anymore. Let's remove it from the federal environment. No, it goes through a process. It goes through a process. So like maybe all the data is removed. Every system has been decommissioning, like properly decommissioning, documented, right? Then to the stage that is no longer needed, then they put a plug out of the system, right? So that is the end of life for that system or that application. Then when such is done, the inventory of the organization must be updated to have record that this system has been decommissioning. If you are looking for it, you may never have access to it or it can never be used again, right? Good. Then just a quick summary. What we have covered today. Sorry, just give me a second. Just give me a second, please. Okay, let me resume recording. Sorry about that. So in summary, continuous monitoring phase involves the following steps. Information system environment changes, right? Because these threats and vulnerabilities are not static. It keeps changing. They are very dynamic. It keeps changing. There should be always what? Monitoring, right? And also ongoing security assessment. Test 1/3 of this, the NIST controls annually. Make sure the systems are scanned every month and the weaknesses are patched. Ongoing remediation actions, take action to remediate POEM items, right? There need to be remediation of all the findings. Then you are actively involved as an analyst. Key updates. You update the SAR, the SSP, the POEM, right? Every year. And you submit it to, that is as part of the security status report, and you submit it to AO for recertification. Then the AO are going to go through and accept those documents, then also issue you assessment letter, annual assessment letter. And when everything is done, the system is no longer useful, you're not using it anymore, it has to be decommissioned, right? So these are the activities that takes place during the continuous monitoring phase. And like I said, some of you can get a job. All that you're going to do is continuous monitoring. I like the federal environment. I hired one guy, he came from federal environment. He was like, you guys do a lot of work. The same team handling internal assessment, vendor assessment, vulnerability management, disaster recovery, federal environment. He was just handling only one aspect of it, right? So federal environment, I always say, is very laid back, easy, and some people get there and they get stuck, right? And the good thing is that very flexible. If you're doing remote, you have the time to yourself to do other things that you want to do. So that is it for the risk management framework. Any questions? Bernard? Bernard, your hand is up. You're on mute.
Yeah, with the federal jobs, sometimes they require like a lot of experience and I mean, building your resume, how to build your resume, because I think it's like you have to get some experience related to other similar federal jobs. So it's kind of hard. Like, how do you go about it so that you can meet the requirement that they need?
No, I would say federal job, it's even easier to get a federal job compared to other corporate, right?
Okay.
And at the end of the class, I'll give you sample. Oh, Bernard, you are my old student. You should have a sample resume. I don't
Right.
need to talk about this. Right. So those of you who are new to, I'll give you sample resume. Some of the sample resume is tailored to be like a job that is done within the federal environment, right? Then some are the corporate, some are the healthcare, some of the financial. So I'll give you different types, and you choose the one that is of interest to you. And the federal environment is easy. It's easy. If you really want to do federal environment job, master the deliverables. That is all. Know that at this stage, categorization, this is the deliverables that are generated. Risk assessment, the phase 199, initial risk assessment, PTA, PRA, SON, e-authentication, control selection. Know those how they call deliverables. That is all. And when you get the job, you'll be bored. Trust me, you'll be bored. I have my student doing federal job, and they have like other 2 or 3 jobs in addition to it. Good. Aaron.
So is the federal job, are those contracts?
It depends. So some of them, when you go to USA, I think USA.gov or something like that, you can get direct federal job, right? And some, they do have, they outsource, okay, to some contractors. So the contractor will get you, hire you, then you work for maybe Department of Labor or Department of Agriculture, something like that. And they do have long projects. I mean, some of the projects last for about 10 years. Oh, okay, somebody just put it. It's USA Jobs. Yeah, usajobs.gov, right? They do have long projects. I've had students that they are looking for contract, for so many years. And those companies have won the contract from the government. So you are on the company's payroll and you are full-time for that company. I had a call from one of my students that I trained about 8 years ago. He called me yesterday. He said he's tired in the federal environment. He's been working there for 8 years and he wants to go to the healthcare. So he wants to come and learn the HIPAA. And he's bringing a cohort of people to come learn the HIPAA. So I'm sure the next class, I'll have most of my old students joining for the HIPAA. Right, good. Somebody just put the link here. So I'll open. I'm just opening it. So you can check. Yeah, you can check that job. I mean, there are so many jobs over there. Okay, you need to create an account. I've never used this
One more
before.
question. The resume has to be different, like summary style.
So if you are looking for this type of risk management framework job, then it must be in line with the federal, like RMF, right? RMF related, right? But we'll talk about that. That is one thing that we'll talk into details before the end of the class. Right? Yep. Yes, Ruth. Ruth, you have the floor.
Yes. So you reference working in a federal environment a lot.
Mm-hmm.
Are you directly hired by federal, or are you working for an agency that kind of works for the federal? How does that normally work?
So I always use myself and my students. Myself, when I worked for the federal VA Austin, I went there. I was hired by a company called SMS. It's a System Made Simple. So the actual thing was that the contract was won by Lockheed Martins, and they subcontracted a company called SMS, System Made Simple, and they also subcontracted Tech Systems, right? So Tech System was a recruiter that took me there, and I was working for SMS. Then along the way, they were going to make me a full-time for Lockheed Martin, working on federal contracts. Then I left. But I've had students that apply directly to this place. I remember one of my students in Austin. This lady is too much, right? This lady, let me just say a little bit about her. This lady got a job. She was working in a private company. Then within 3 months, she was reached out by somebody from the USA jobs like this, that they have a job role, and they look her up and they notice she can do the job. So she went for the interview, and I think that time they were starting with like 85,000. They said that was the max they could after she got a job. They said they could pay 85,000. And she told them that where she is, she's earning, in actual fact, she was even earning lesser. Where she's earning something bigger. So if they can match up for about 100,000, she would take it. And they came back and they offered her. And the woman who did the review said, this never happened in the federal environment. So long and short story is that she got the offer. She worked with them 2 years. She was the best in her department. They submitted her to the whole region. She was the best. And they submitted her to the regional, and she was the best. She was adjudged the best employee, federal employee, right? And she's in Austin here, and she learned the way we are learning in the class, right? So you can get the job directly at the USA jobs, or maybe through a federal, a contracting company. Good. Any more questions before we move on? So, like I said, federal environment is very easy. The next thing that we're going to do is I want us to search for jobs about what we have done. Because today is the last day for the federal side, this RMF. Today is the last day. So most of the times when it is the last day, I try to do a job search so that we see how the jobs looks like. So when we see, then we compare, oh, okay, this looks familiar. Oh, okay, I understand what they are looking for. Oh, okay, they talk about poem. I know what goes into poem, right? So something like that. And so let's just do a quick search. I'm just going to do Google. And most of the times when you Google it, it depends on where you are, right? Most of the time, like the proximity, it will pull the jobs that are closer to you. So if you're in Maryland area and you do Google search, you're going to get more because most of the federal jobs are in the Maryland area. So for the federal jobs, let's start with the old name. They call it certification. I hope you can see my screen. I'm doing search, Google search. Let me see which one I'm showing. Okay, good. So you can see certification and accreditation analyst jobs. Those are the old name, but some companies still keeps that name. So when you are searching for federal jobs, you can Google that. So yes, this Lockheed Martin that I talked about, right? Good. So let's see what they are saying. Sometimes it could be a different thing. Okay, this is a different thing. So candidate must have knowledge in intrusion detection. It's different, right? But these are the ones that came up. So this is the old name. So I'm assuming that majority of them are changing it. So let's use the new name. So some of them, they call it information. Information assurance. Yeah, assurance jobs, right? So information assurance job. So when you are searching for information assurance jobs, some of the job descriptions may use that title, right? So let's see, this is a cyber analyst. Whether it talks about that, no, this is the This is different. Okay, this is also different. Okay, this has some part of it, but the most popular ones that you can search for is called risk management framework job. Risk management framework jobs. Good. So good. So let's see this one. This is in Fort Worth. And please, when you see active security clearance, don't give up. Some people say, oh, they are looking for, it's so Lockheed Martins. Oh, they are looking for somebody with active clearance, right? Don't give up, right? Good. So here, this is the technical, it's a different aspect of it. Is those who do the technical aspect, because I can see Linux operating system. I can see, but I said experience with risk management framework and security technical implementation. So this is the technical side of it. So let's look for other ones. So you can also search within your area. If wherever you are, you can search your area, and I'm sure some will pull up. If you see something, you can put it in the chat for us to all look. So this is a very good example one, but it's in VA, right? That is a Virginia area. It's an experience conducting risk management framework, RMF. When you hear RMF process, you're talking about what we have done. NIST 800-37. So when you hear 800-37, is the same thing about those categorization. He's talking about 800-37 talks about this one, right? Minimum. Good. So this is 800-37, meaning that you understand categorization, control selection, control implementation, assessment, authorization, and monitoring. That is what it means. When I develop it, he said for development or existing programs or systems, right? So it means that you're going to manage an application. Experience personally drafting RMF product. Should this be difficult? This is not difficult at all. Detailed knowledge in NIST 800-53. What do we use the 800-53 for? I told you it's the most important publication. 800-53. I pull it up. Where is it? Yep, this document. Right. NIST 800-53, Ref 5. Is most important document, right? That is what we use to select the controls, and the control procedures is very, very important. Hugely used. Experience using cybersecurity analysis tool. So what we have learned is the hard way to understand the processes and what goes behind the scene, right? But now they have developed tools that we call it GRC tools. So the GRC tools help you to map up all the documents that we have discussed, all the deliverables, right? But if they are interviewing you, they're not going to interview you based on the GRC tool, but they're going to interview you based on what you understand and what is done within each of the stages, right? So this is very, very important. Candidates shall be responsible for analyzing software application and encryption technology products being assessed or developed for the purpose of specifying and developing risk management. Don't worry about some of these things. Don't worry. These documents are required in order to submit product for authority to operate for certification, such as National Information Assurance Partnership and Classified Solution something. Apply the NIST special publication. That is a risk management framework, this one that we've gone through. Process to information application currently being assessed or developed by a company for use in federal government, especially DoD. Formulate plans, schedules to conduct either portions or all the RMF processes on selected products. So it tells me that you're going to be in charge of not only one application, but different applications. Conduct and guide analysis needed to gather information needed to produce RMF artifacts. That's what I was talking about. You are going to guide, right? So if it is time for categorization, you'll be in charge of categorization, you'll be in charge of control selection. But you need PTA, you need PIA. You have to guide and communicate and collect all those information, right? Good. So provide recommendation on how RMF products can be used to prepare for other process or certifications, such as those things that they need to meet. Then develop RMF documentation as required to prepare products, systems for submission to ATO authority. For this, they're going to get the ATO from this group, right? NIAP. Good. And look at the money. Salary 800 to 125. And so interesting, most of my students, either they hit the mid or they go for the highest money, right? Good. So here they have said the candidate shall be responsible for analyzing software application, blah, 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 assess. Well, I think we have talked about that earlier on, right? So this is a perfect example of RMF job, right? So if you are interested in that, let me put a chat in. Those of you who are, did they say it's remote or on-site? Now, most of these jobs are remote. They just posted this 13 days ago, right? If you are interested and you want to apply, oh, somebody has posted the amount there already, right? And sometimes I don't trust Google. I say what I don't know whether it's Indeed or whatever. I don't trust the money. Sometimes it could be more than that, right? Good. There's another one here. This is, he said, NLogic. The company is called. So here, the person is being hired as ISSF, Information System Security Manager. This is like a managerial role. But I've had a student that got the manager straight, ISSO. So don't be afraid. When you see it, put in, right? Don't be afraid when you see anything like this, go for it, right? And so it says security clearance is required. That doesn't mean that you should have. So it means that they will do it for you. And the federal job, when you get a job here, the security background check is very easy compared to the corporate one. This is very, very, very easy, right? So here it said you review RMF certification accreditation documents, standard operative procedure, policies, security instructions for both network and standalone computer systems, support Army material, command. So it's the same thing that we do. It's just like a lot of policy review documents, like the test plan. You review them, make sure that everything is okay. And this is also very, very doable. Very, very doable. So like I said, depending on the area that you are, you can just Google risk management framework jobs, right? and a lot is going to pull up. A lot is going to. So here you can see I haven't had any of them in Houston, but San Antonio, because you have a federal base over there, some of these jobs are there. Another name that you can use to search is this one. Just a second, Kingsley. This one, this name. Assessment and authorization analyst. That is another name you can use to search for this job. Let me open a new one. That is actually the new name for it, but people don't really use it. Analyst jobs. Yes, Gabriel. Sorry, Kingsley.
Yes, my question was, what was the first title you put? It has something to do with assurance, something assurance.
Information assurance analyst.
Okay. Okay. Thank
Information assurance is very broad, right? It's very broad. But one thing that you can do is that when you see the job description, you see that they stated risk management framework, right? Don't be afraid. Just put in apply to it. As long as you're not going to pay for applying, right? Just apply it. Just put in some application to it. Just apply it. When they call you, it means that there's something they have seen about your resume that they are interested, right? So this is another example that you can apply. Forget about the number of years they are asking. Forget about that, right? It's very, very doable. And they said they're paying hourly, 55 to 65 an hour. Is a full-time 8-hour shift. Where is the location? This is assessor. Global solution. It's remote. Okay. When was this posted? I don't see the dates. Let me put it in the chat. I'm sure some of you may be interested, right? Good. Yeah. So just play around with the job descriptions, right? Take a look at those job descriptions if you have time, or if this area is of interest to you, right? You can check this area. I think I have one of my students working with Lidos. Yes, this company.
Found this on the web for, I think I have.
See how our devices are listening to us, right? So I have one of my students working with Lidos. Yep. So see, they help develop system security plan. You're helping develop. Then you also work on OM, provide continuous surveillance of mission critical systems components, including authority to operate, interim authority to operate, right? Provide surveillance. All that they're talking about is a continuous monitoring. Continuous monitoring. Yes, Ruth, your hand is up.
Yes, it is. So after doing the risk management framework, when you look for these jobs, how many years experience are you saying you have? Right? Because it's always a challenge on how do you pivot into this cybersecurity, side of things. How do you even combine what you know now with what you were working with? I have applied for jobs because I've been reading a lot about this, but I have not been called for an interview. So I know it's because my resume is not looking right. And obviously my LinkedIn is not aligned. So I'm struggling with bridging that gap.
Yes. So yours is a peculiar one, right? We can talk about that, but it depends. So we'll talk about that before the end of the class. If you are interested in this job, I have a student that he had about 3 separate resumes. Okay. One was targeting this federal environment. So anytime he sees the things that we have covered in class, right? You can see ATO, the poem, the contingency plan, CMP, PTA, PIA, and there's a song here. We covered everything in class. This is a typical NIST, right? And even the position is ISSO, not even an analyst, right? And they can pay up to 134. He just put in an application. So you shouldn't have one specific application. If this is what you are interested, you have different resume that you can use to apply for this. For federal, then you can have another one that you use to target other jobs. So Ruth, we can talk more about that. And forget about the number of years. Sometimes it depends on how confident you are. If you are confident, you can put these numbers here. You can put this, it said minimum 5 to 7 years. You can do a resume, put it 5 to 7 years, right? And the most important thing is being called for interview, right? And one thing that I offer my students that I give them mentorship and prep, interview prep. So if you have a time that you're going to, a chance to be interviewed by this company, right? I'll prep you. And I also link you up with some of my students that are doing this full time. They can guide you. So, okay, this company, I've worked with them. Maybe this is how you need to approach. Or maybe the person going to interview you, I know him, right? This is the type of questions that they ask. You prep and you go and you get a job. Like I said, the federal environment, when you get a job, the background check is very, very easy. Very, very easy.
I think most of it, what's been challenging, or what I see as a challenge, is to have an impactful resume that can be picked for an interview, right? If you apply and you are not, nobody's calling you, it just means your resume is not competent enough.
So definitely, it's one of the areas that we cover before the end of the class.
Okay.
Right, having a good resume, and the resume should be active. You don't do one resume and that's it. Or maybe I give you sample resume, then you look at it and just change the heading and put your name there and give it back to me to check. No, it's not effective because a sample that I gave to everybody. So if you want to do this resume that is in line with this area, this job description is here. You can copy it, change the wording, and make it suit yours. And that is unique to you. So we talk about all this. I'll guide you in all this before the end of the class. It's part of the training.
Do we have to disable our LinkedIn's for now? Because, you know,
you can keep it. No worries.
Okay.
No worries. You can keep it. We'll talk more later on. Yeah.
Okay.
Aaron, I saw your hand up.
Yeah. Well, my question was, are you going to allow us to shadow one of your students as well? Or
no, they are busy.
Okay.
Trust me, they won't give you the time. But if you have an interview, right, and I see the area, I will connect you with the right person. And they are always happy to help. They will spend time to walk you through and prep you. And I myself will be mentoring you as well.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
You're welcome. Ruth, is your hand up again or is the old one? I think
it's the old one. Sorry.
Okay, sorry. Good. So that is it for the federal environment. I have another assignment. I'll just pull it up, right? This assignment actually don't make it compulsory, but it's not compulsory, but it's recommended, right? So I call something understanding security controls. Abby.
Hi, Alex. Yeah.
Yes,
I kind of posted a question in the chat. I don't know.
Oh, then I missed it. Let me check. Alex, do you assist in creating resumes or there are resources to assist us. So I'll give you a sample resume and I will walk you through how to do your own that is unique. Okay. Like I was saying that this job description, you want to do a resume that reflects that you work within the federal environment. This is there.
Okay.
Right? They've given you the job description here. So you just copy this, put it on Word. Demonstrate proficiency developing in managing and executing. So you just change it. You change the word in a little bit, right? I develop, right? Maintain and execute assessment authorization, right? And ATO package is new to you. It's your own, it's like something that you have experienced developing, managing, and mitigating plan of action. Have experience, maybe experience working on plan of action. You just turn it around. Turn it around. That's it.
Okay.
So I'll teach you all that.
Okay, thank you.
So at the end of it, whatever you have is unique to you. Right. Okay.
Thank you.
You're welcome, Abby. So understanding security controls. Security controls, I mean, if you understand them as a security analyst, it makes you better. It really makes you better. So I'm going to share, I haven't shared this document with you, but I'm going to share it with you after this class today. So it covers all the controls, the control families. And if you take AC, it covers all the controls under AC, right? So AC controls, I've given the definition what the AC means, like organization must limit information system access to authorized users, process, acting on behalf of authorized users or device, including other information systems, and to the types of transactions and functions that authorized users are permitted to exercise. And it starts with AC1. So we have AC1, access control policy and procedure. We have AC2, account management, AC3, account enforcement. So if you go through all these documents, you see that a couple of them I have bolded them. These are some of the controls. You meet them very often as a security analyst. You meet them almost every day, right? So what I give to my student is I'll give you a template, right? Try and Google them. So when you take account management, just Google them. What does it mean? Access control enforcement. What does it mean? Separation of duties. What does that mean? Least privilege. Unsuccessful logon attempt. System use notification. Log sessions. So you just do some quick Googling, and when you get the information, try to summarize it. Right? Don't copy everything. The key thing is you are developing a library of controls that you can refer to whenever that you need something, you want to understand a control, or you're doing something that can help you remember those security controls, right? So let me, I'm trying to open a template and I'll show you how I want you to do it. And it will take much time. I mean, some people are able to do it before the next class. Some too, they do it. I mean, am I showing? I think, is it showing? Okay, yeah. So this is a template I'm going to share with you. I said assignment 3, understand security controls. Look through the slide on understanding controls, security controls. Select the bolded controls and Google search for the meaning. Now there's AI. AI is even going to make it simple for you, right? There's this AI. There are so many AIs. So I love the one that is called the Binge one. The Binge one is very easy to use and even gives you references. So please make it a brief but make sure you capture is it big enough? Can you see? You need big.
Can you make it broader?
Yeah, that's what I'm trying to do. Oh, it's too big. Okay, very good. So please make it brief, but make sure you capture the actual meaning and key points about the control. Below is an example for separation of duty. So separation of duty means assigning critical functions of process to more than one person or department, right? So the person who writes the code shouldn't be the same person who does the testing. That's what separation of duty means, right? So that the key point when you come to the actual meaning, I mean, the essence of separation of duty is to prevent fraud, right? But if I develop a code, I can put some back end somewhere, right? If I develop the code, then I test it and I approve it myself, I can develop a backdoor so that if I want to, I mean, like WhatsApp application, I sell it to people, I can go through the back door and do some bad stuff. So separation of duty helps prevent that thing. So that is what I want you to try your best to see if you can do that for all the controls. So you can see AC, I continue here, is a lot, but just the common ones that you meet them quite often that I've highlighted. So yeah, Kingsley.
Yes, I have a question.
Yes, sir.
And the question is, I'm so surprised that all these laws exist and still companies can get away with, trading our data with, third parties, making money off of our data. Like, remember 2 years ago or last year when Zuckerberg was at the panel, and they were grilling him and, wanted to know what happens with our data. And it was a long discussion. So is it like there has not been a comprehensive law? Because these companies behave like monopolies, and that's what they are. Google, they are monopolies. Okay, little or no competition. So is government not tackling them enough? I'm surprised that all these laws exist and still they can do anything with our data.
Yeah. So
when they go to Europe, they are punished there. They are punished in Europe, and when they fail those laws, I know they are fine.
Yes. So we'll talk about that. So we'll talk about those new privacy laws, the GDPR, the CCPAs, right? And one thing that I learned during my master's in cybersecurity is that the US laws are not really able to keep up with the changing technology. Right now, majority are fighting with this AI thing. There's no law covering AI, right? So they are finding it difficult to catch up with the policies. But so the companies are very smart and they're able to beat around it. But the laws are there, right? So now some of them are coming up, like the CCPA, California. Now they give you the subject, right? The one that they collect data about you, the right to opt out, right? Per that law, you can just call a company and say, hey, I noticed you collected my data, delete my data. If they don't delete it, right, and they keep on sending you messages, you can use that law to sue them, right? So it's coming up. It's coming up. Yeah. Good. So let's go through this quickly. So this is the access control. We have quite a number of them that have bolded them. Security activity, remote access, wireless, information sharing, data mining, protection. That's what Kingsley was talking about, data mining, right? Reference monitor. Then you come to the awareness and training. I explained it. Then I have a couple of them selected as well. After awareness and training, there is audit and accountability. There is Yep, these are all part of audit and accountability, certification, accreditation, and security assessment. I've also explained it, a couple of them that you need to contingency plan, right? It's a popular one for assignment that we've gone through. So alternative sites, we'll learn about them later on, but I want you to do a quick search on that. Identification and authentication. And one thing that also encouraged me to come out with this was I had one interview on Federal, and the guy asked me, what is identification and authentication? And if I had not done reviews on these controls, I would have been sweating, right? So I was able to explain this and give him examples, right? And he was very, very happy. That was my Austin job, right? So sometimes there are something like, I think they mostly ask identification and identification and authentication. Then there's another, okay, this is contingency plan. And I'm going up. Where am I? Incidents respond. They can ask incidents respond as well. Then there's a CM, configuration management. Anyway, but this is MP, media protection. There's a physical PE. That one is a lot. It's quite a lot. It's about 20 of them. But they are not doing everything. Just select the bolded ones. Those are the common ones you meet all the time as part of your work. PS, personal security. Then we have personal, this is one of the new ones, personally identifiable information processing, transparency, called PT, risk assessment itself, system security, service acquisition, and system and communication protection. This one is a lot. It has a lot of controls, but not everything that is highlighted, right? It's about 44 of them. System and identification, information integrity, then supply chain risk management. So I'm going to share this slide with you, right? I mean, if you're able to finish everything before Saturday, you send it to me, that is fine. But anytime you are done, if you want to share with me, that is fine. But keep it as a library, right? I had a student, she's in New York. She was very serious. This is a young girl. Now she's doing like 3 jobs and she's making a lot of money. She went through all these controls, took it serious. We finished the class like within 2 months, she got an offer, right? So, and she told me the control really helped her. So that is why I have been hammering and encouraging people to make sure that they don't joke with this, right? Sometimes somebody will just do 1 or 2 and put it aside, right? I think I still keep her work. So I'm showing, what is showing? Let me see whether it is showing. Yes, this is her work, what she shared with me. You can see. So she took her time and did everything. Even those days, Rev 5 hadn't come, so I don't think it's even this was based on Rev 4. This is how she did it. She spent time, she did it, and she did it very well. And it has become a library for her, and it is really helping her. Good. I went to do a consultancy for a hospital in New York, and when she heard I was in New York, I was in Brooklyn. She drove from Bronx, picked me up, took me to Long Island for dinner, paid for my dinner. She really spoiled me that night. Anyway, so that is it for today. And I'm going to share this with you just after the class. And please, how do you call it? Like, make sure that you practice your hand on it. Then also, in fact, is the assignment are going to be 2. The first one is try and finish your poem, okay? the poem so that at least you have a complete document for your reference. You have done the SAR, add the poem, just those findings, the ones that were you made the recommendations on, right? Take them to create a poem. So you have your documents. If you want to share with me to take a look at the poem that you created, that is also fine. You can share with me and I will give you my comments, right? And also that of the understanding security controls. So that is it for the federal environment. And coming Sunday, we're going to start a new model, how security assessment is performed at the healthcare environment. And that was my first job, even though the training that I had was basically everything was on federal environment. But I got the first job in, it's going to be Saturday. I got the first job in HIPAA, right? So we're going to learn how security assessment is performed within the healthcare environment. And we'll learn the theory. Then the Wednesday, we'll do practicals, how the assessment is done if you get a job as a HIPAA security officer. The two ladies who came to share their experiences with you during the information session, one of them got a job as a HIPAA security officer. So that is what we're going to start. Thank you so much. And if it happens that any of you, your interest is going to be on the federal, what we have covered so far, right? And you want to start going to the job market, let me know. We can talk. I can send you the sample resume. But make sure that you finish paying, right, before you make that move. If you haven't paid, then finish paying, then you can start applying. As much as I want you to start getting the job, some of our people are very smart. As soon as they get a job, you don't hear from them anymore. And it's so interesting. If they don't have the job, they are ready to pay. But if they get a job, they don't want to pay. Now that the money is coming, they don't want to pay. Anyway, so that is for some people. I don't think we have people of that such caliber on this platform. So I'm always ready to help anybody who want to zoom into the job. And I find delight in that. Thank you so much. And Kingsley, your hand is up.
Yes, one last question. Talking about the HIPAA jobs, what title do you put in the search engine for the kind of jobs the girls had?
So we are going to do that. Don't worry. At the end of the HIPAA, we'll search. You see, like we did for the federal, right? Okay. As soon as we finish, we'll go and search for the job. But most of the times, we call it. They call it HIPAA assessor.
HIPAA assessor. Okay.
HIPAA assessor. You can search for HIPAA assessor job, right? Or even sometimes broadly information security analyst in the healthcare or something like that, and something will pull up. Good. So let me end the recording so that it doesn't become so long. Then I'll share with you as soon as it drops. And I'm going to share the understanding, the controls, and also the slide for the assignment. Thank you so much and have a good night. So I'll be reaching out to some of you too during the week. Please, we'll talk and have a very good evening. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Alex. Have a good evening.
Thank you, Mr. Alex.
Thank you.
Have a good evening.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Kingsley, can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you, Vincent.
No, I'm talking to Kingsley.
Oh, okay.